Next on the list would be Missouri. Mike?
Somewhat envious Illinois and Indiana. They can talk about the gas tax. If you remember Madison last year, I think there was Phil in the back that was talking about the day after we began our conference, we had a vote. I think it was thumbs down, wasn't it, Phil? That explains why all those Illinoisans are coming over to Missouri to buy their gas now. Today in the presentation, I'll interwove topics that John asked us to do: project selection, what's working, and building a pavement preservation culture and a pavement life cycle. Again, our mission, like many of the DOTs, we have a mission, is to provide a world-class transportation system to provide a safe and innovative and reliable and dedicated, prosperous Missouri. Part of that, too, I'll touch on, too, is some of our research in this area, somewhat ties into the innovation. Our three pillars, safety, service, and stability, and within all of those, you'll find parts of this presentation, most namely stability, keep our roads and bridges in good condition. Kind of ties into that preservation feature. This is our revenue down to the dollars and cents for those that want to know more about how we collect our revenue and how we utilize it here in the state of Missouri. As we can see, $2.6 billion come into the state approximately, and a lot of that comes through our Missouri fees, user fees, revenue through the gas tax, and part of that also comes from the federal revenue through the gas tax as well, through Federal Highway Administration. We get a very small amount through our general revenue. And then that's dispersed through those different buckets. As you see, we have some debt we pay. We have to, some of that goes to other state agencies to administer, cities and counties, but then we get to that larger bucket. That's for our state roads and bridges in the blue side. That's our contract side of the house. The red portion of that bucket is more of the operations. And I'm from the maintenance side of the house, the red portion of that bucket. I'll speak a little bit about the state roads and bridges. I think Phil does more of that at the St. Louis district, and he can talk specifically about his program in St. Louis too if we have questions in that arena. Again, also one other point to add, we are a decentralized state, so we have 7 districts. Funding and design decisions, project level decisions are made within our 7 different districts. Our state map, don't expect you to see all the different roads there, but we have almost 34,000 centerline miles of roads. Within that, we have about 1,400 miles of interstate, and what we consider major roads, that's a Missouri designation, 4163. I guess the bottom line there is, if you add the major roads and interstate mileage, approximately 80% of the travel is on 20% of our roads. Rule of thumb anyhow. And then you got this landslide of miles of roads, minor roads and low volume roads. Low volume roads in Missouri are those roads that are 480 T and less. In many states, those might be considered county roads, farm to market roads, but in the state of Missouri, those are state maintained roads. Getting in a little more of the nuts and bolts, each year we put together all the districts together, they put together what we would have a maintenance plan. Now, this is coming from the maintenance side of the house where we have all kinds of work that we're planning. Here shows 2 years of planning. This was for this year. Actually, I think starting next year we will put 3 years of planning. So our director has asked us to look as far out from a maintenance and operation perspective and then we share this in our STIP. So we break these things down, everything from pipe replacement, pavement repairs, different types of pavement treatments, fog seals, chip seals, scrub seals, and then we even have our motorist assist. Those are operations that are funded through our operations. And then the triangles are a bridge deck sealing, another preservation activity, but on our bridges. A little bit about our results. Again, this is operationally, you can kind of get a feel for what we do each year. And I know it was mentioned earlier, one of the presentations of the federal eligibility, we also participate in the state of Missouri. About 15% of our operation at MoDOT on the operation side of the house is federally eligible. I think comes to a total of about $60 million a year. Much of that is in pavement repair or pavement resurfacing, pipe replacement. We've got bridge deck sealing, bridge deck repair, things of that nature. Some of these activities are federally eligible for reimbursement, and that helps us, again, helps us in a great deal funding our program. Be able to match those federal dollars. And at a very, very high level, this is our pavement maintenance direction where you see structural deterioration on selection of different treatments. Again, to be looked at really at a high level, you look at first off, does your pavement have a structural deterioration to it? Then you get working into it somewhat, environmental cracking, what extent is that? Surface wear, severity, and recommended treatment. Like many states, I'm sure you have something similar to what we do. We have what we consider our ARAN vans. They canvass the roads each year. That's run out of our planning office. They take inventory of our roads. They were able to get an IRI, a smoothness coefficient. And then we also have a portion of that, a portion of that is looked at for PASER rating. So we take a combination of smoothness of road and PASER rating to determine the level of service that road is providing Missourians. Again, from a very high level, here's some of the treatments we consider in Missouri for the different levels of roads, and some of these are well out of the range of pavement preventive maintenance. As you can see, as we'll work through the list, anything from alternate bid, full depth concrete, full depth asphalt. Lifespan is at least what we're looking at from a 30,000 level, 30,000 feet look to 3 3/4 inch asphalt overlay, and working your way down to, we consider this U-balls. I think others, the trade name is Nova Chip, and we're looking at the lifespans of those. And as we work our way down to the major roads and regionally significant routes, you can see where you have different life cycles for certain levels of treatment. Again, this is to be considered conceptually at a high level as you're looking at your projects and what those ratings were coming from your ARAN van. And looking at for our roads of minor roads and roads of under 480 T, again, you're looking more now at those 1 inch, we call them contract level courses that are done depending on, the condition of that road and the life cycle of that road. I think I heard earlier too, where, Todd was mentioning from Indiana that you'd have maybe an overlay, a 1 inch CLC for instance, then maybe followed by 2 chip seals to get you out to about 20 years. So maybe at year 5 after an overlay was done, you would put down a chip seal, then come back at year 12 to get you that year 20, get you that life cycle. Not sure if Todd, if we've gone to 3 chip seals or not. If we've done it, it's really out of necessity based on funding. Unlike you, I think 2 chip seals is about all you're going to get realistically until you need to maybe address some other options there. Looking at our IRI and pavement maintenance direction, this is helping us to consider what roads are good and then what treatment options possibly. Your higher type roads, major roads and interstates, we were looking at IRIs of less than 100. And then as we work our way down the list, we have different thresholds based on for roads that are more than 480 T. Again, we loosen those thresholds somewhat, again, based on the number of vehicles that are traveling on that road. And then we combine that with our PASER ratings. And as you can see here, got a picture here. This is coming right out of our engineering policy book, PASER rating of 6. The district may elect to use a preventive maintenance treatment in this case, or a treatment such as U-balls. Again, that's a district decision, and I think, Phil, you're right in the heart of those types of decisions when you see roads like this. Getting into asset management needs. Again, this is looking beyond into year 2020. A good majority of our construction program is tied to asset management. And early on in that one bucket I showed you earlier, our total program was looking at $835 million. But you could see right here, to maintain our system condition and to maintain our major bridges, we're looking at $677 million. So roughly that comes to somewhere around 80% of our program is tied into asset management. We also have a performance document that we track quarterly on the condition of our roads. Again, this is using the ARAN van and the tracking we do out on the highways. And as you can see how we've been tracking over the last 5 years, major highways, they have we put great strides in trying to improve the condition of those roads, and we're somewhere around the low 90s. Same with minor roads, we're trying to hold those at 80. And then our low volume roads, and one thing I forgot to add earlier, on our low volume routes, the ones that are less than 480 T, those are done with maintenance forces only. We do not have the funds to contract really any projects on those roads, so we really leave it up to our maintenance crews. We have 5,100 employees at MoDOT. I want to say close to 2,600 of those employees are field maintenance, 175 buildings around the state, at least one maintenance facility in each county, and then our heavier urbanized areas, we may have 2 or 3 sheds in those areas. That's a little bit about Missouri. One thing, getting back to the innovation side, we're in the middle of a research project too. We're looking at rejuvenators and sealers. Some of those, I think we put out, through our research office, we contracted with, our research office contracted with ARA to call out to the industry to look at different rejuvenators and sealers. I think right now, Phil, what are we, year 2 of that project? A lot of those sections are in the St. Louis region. We got a few in the Central District. I know we did a report on that at the Minnesota NRRA meeting last May. Jason Blomberg did, and I'm thinking NRRA is thinking about maybe a similar topic to expand about what we did. We're glad for that. Really, that's my report. Phil, myself are able to take questions.
I heard that you have kind of a unique training system where you bring districts into a particular garage and then you have actually demonstrate the lay down of a treatment. Is that right? Seems to me we talked about that before. You want to explain that a little bit?
We definitely have hands-on training with our chip seal. We have spreaders located around the state, as well as we have the brooms as well. Mainly those are down in our southeast portion of our state where we do some scrub seals, but we have hands-on training. What we would like to do, Larry, and I would definitely like to bring in the training, definitely what's done through Midwest Pavement Preservation, bring it to Missouri, formalize it a bit more. I've broached that topic with our construction office. What you said this morning about the need to bring training to improve the quality of the product, we definitely feel it in Missouri. We would definitely think training would be a great benefit. At least I do from my side. I think it gets to that challenge that how do you do that in the contract? And I think you were mentioning maybe Massachusetts is doing it. How do we best qualify? The topic's out there. I'm definitely receptive to it. I'm trying to get others in our department receptive to that concept.
To answer your other question, in maintenance in St. Louis division, we actually took the training as a group. So we brought all of our maintenance people that crack seal every day in particular, and we ran through that actual course. So we are doing it. We are suffering on extremely high turnover. I told you that earlier today. So I will tell you immediately, I have not had glorious victory, but we've made steps toward it. The thing that we'll talk about real rapidly as I make sure we're not perpendicular. What's different this year? Since what I told you last year, we're making an increased effort on our joints. So we have several ideas that we're doing. For the first ever times in 7 years now, we're actually going to crack fill jobs 2 years after they've been built. That's a pretty big thing we've moved. And we've also done quite a bit of work with what we're going to call elastomerics, which is the fibercrete, the techcrete, and all that. So those are 2 things we've kind of advanced since I talked to you last time in Madison. Everything else is pretty much on Mike's dead on all we're doing. I'm short $85 million a year in my asset management plan. So, I mean, stuff just isn't going to get done, but we're just going to make decisions kind of, as I told you last year, as a fiduciarily controlled asset management.
Thank you, Mike.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.